Hello and welcome into the SorareData NBA Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined once again by the guys over from Sorare First Pitch. Alex, I had it right and then I moved it. Alex Super, TiltCityFC, Keith Jamison, Gold Guy 231 on Sorare, but Gator Guy 231 on Twitter. He will be Gator Guy 231 on Sorare again in roughly 2 months and 14-ish days.
I need to start a counter. I definitely need to start a countdown.
You should. Yeah. We'll just put it up on the wall behind you, days until I'm back to Gator Guy 231 on Sorare. Anyway, thank you to those who have joined us. Actually, Jeb Bush was in here like half an hour early. He was fired up, clearly, to talk about getting all this ETH that we don't really have in reward pools yet. But anyway, thank you to everybody who has joined us. And Jeb, thanks for being the first one in. I wanted to talk about ETH rewards for a few reasons. And for full disclosure, I have no expectation that ETH rewards will become a thing in NBA, but it feels like enough people are talking about it. And that just gives me a reason to talk to you guys about it, because there are certain like market things that we have seen in football that are kind of directly correlated to ETH rewards, and the fact that they're changing the ETH reward giveaways on football starting next week, which I don't know if that makes me more or less optimistic about ETH rewards in NBA. Maybe by the end of this, we'll figure it out. Alex, you play less football now than you used to. You also play less than Keith and I do. Did the ETH reward change make you want to get back into it, or has it made you hesitant to go back into football?
I mean, seeing as I just did get back into it kind of by, I don't know, it wasn't happenstance, but the changes did bring me back just because I was going to make a team in France, and I was like, I already have 2 halfway decent players.
Sorry to cut you off. That's a team made up of players in France. He's not going to France to make the lineup.
No, not quite. Unless Nicola invites me, then I'll do it. So I already had 2 okay players, and then through the draft, I got Neymar, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to buy 2 guys and have fun with it, because I had a bunch of ETH left over, not enough to buy anything worth anything in NBA, not enough to pre-plan in baseball. But to answer your question, I don't even know how to get into. I thought what I was doing would get me into the ETH threshold. I don't even know. But when I did play originally, I bought a first team and a second team, and I put my best team in the ETH competitions. I was grinding ETH, and that was my goal. And I would very much welcome it to NBA.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the football product, you could also refer to it as the soccer product. What we've had up until, and we actually still have it, but it's going away next week, is basically a specific competition where if you score a certain number of fantasy points, you automatically win an ETH payout. And what a lot of people have done is basically buy 5 cards or 7-ish, somewhere between 5 and 10, specifically to try to hit either 205 or 250 fantasy points. Those are the 2 thresholds in order to get this ETH reward every game week. It's generally not every game week that you win, but a lot of people win every weekend at least. The midweeks are not quite as plentiful in terms of games. But Sorare and some users basically thought that this was a problem, that it was becoming too easy. You only really needed to buy 5 to 7 cards, and you could just use those cards every week to score 205 or 250 fantasy points, which paid out the equivalent of $25 and $50 respectively every game week. And so because there's no cap, or there hasn't been a cap in football, you basically could just use those cards over and over and over again. And so it wasn't really like encouraging people to buy more cards. And the threshold limits, meaning 205 and 200 fantasy points, were kind of easy to get, meaning to reach every week. And so the cap mode, or the capped competitions that we have in NBA, clearly gave them this idea of like, wait a minute, maybe we should do this over on the football side. And that's where they are moving the ETH reward threshold to, where you have to stay under a certain cap. That cap is 240, and you have to reach 250 fantasy points. So basically, cumulatively, your players have to outperform they use L15 in football instead of L10. But I think we're basically going to see a very different ETH winning situation in football starting next week. Keith, do you think that Sorare should either, I mean, I don't think the answer is ever no to like, should they have ETH rewards in NBA? But do you think it's worth them just giving ETH rewards for podiums like we have in most competitions in football? Or is there actually like a realistic path where it's like, reach this fantasy point threshold and you will win ETH?
Yeah, of course you give me that question. I mean, I don't know. I think if you don't have it, you just don't have it. Like, I don't think all of a sudden you just do the 3, because then that's going to incentivize more probably pay per win than ever before. You know, like with I feel like in NBA, we have like a really interesting situation which we don't have in football, in terms of like the opto gang, for lack of a better term. Like, here's, you know, I've seen a number of like random little things pop up of like, I'm selling this optimizer that'll tell you exactly what the best lineup is. So I think it's going to incentivize that more and more if you put ETH up at the top, but like not at the bottom. So, you know, I think if you're going to, this is kind of a weird answer. If you're going to do it at the top, then you have to try to find the thresholds to incentivize more and more people to grow in the game. And if you're not going to do either, then just leave without either and just say, we're not doing it. Like, that's where I would be on the stance on that.
Yeah, I think kind of where I go with it, and I've kind of made this point before, that it's weird that ETH payouts, people who come from football that go into MLB or NBA are like, I can't believe there are no ETH payouts.
Where is it? Yeah.
And it's like they're really only, I mean, there's only one competition that pays out ETH threshold, like ETH payments if you hit a certain score. And then you get an ETH payout if you finish in the top 3, which is an unrealistic expected finish for most people on the platform. So it's really just the threshold. But I think instead of this idea of like, should they have ETH? I think it's more like, do you think that it's worth them developing like some kind of NBA
progression?
It's really thinking about it.
Yeah, we got frozen Laird.
Oh,
yeah, you froze for about 10 seconds there.
So, well, let me go back.
Yeah, just start with the, do you think that we should?
That was it. Okay. Great timing, actually. I mean, basically the idea was we're all competing against each other to get the rewards that are available, meaning the card rewards. And the ETH threshold competition on the football side is a beat the game. Score this many points and you will win. And we don't have that in NBA. And so it's almost like, I think the conversation, is less like, do they need ETH rewards, and more like, should they have some sort of beat the game concept?
I would go one further with that. Is like, that to me almost sounds, you know, I hate to say it for the football crowd, but progression bar. Like, I feel like what you're kind of saying is progression type of deal. No?
I mean, you can use it to progress, certainly. Like, I
well,
think
we know that's like the hip thing on football, right? Like, we got like 4 levels of progression over there now.
Yeah, but I think that's
snake
more
mode.
Yeah, I think that's more of winning your way up. Whereas like the thresholds, I never viewed the thresholds as like a way to progress, even though like theoretically it is, because they're like giving you money and you could use that money to buy better cards. But I never really looked at it. Like I looked at progression more of like, I'm using rare cards to win super rare cards.
Right. Yeah. What do you think, Alex, on that?
I used it to progress. Now, did I actually progress? Probably not. But I was also a lot worse at the game, and I used it in a different way. I think it makes a lot of sense in NBA because, like, you always need more players. Not always, but like in a lot of cases, you need more players. I don't know. I'm so at odds with the only winning cards because there can be zero return on your investment, and to me, like, that stinks. But also, that's the name of the game. What I really loved when I was playing football originally is like, yeah, I can invest in these guys and they might decline in price, but like at least I can make it up by playing them. And that's great for me, but not necessarily great for Sorare. And it's such a, I don't know. It's a question I don't really feel equipped to answer because I always have to look at it from a Sorare business perspective. And that seems to be pretty obvious, but from a user experience perspective, I know I liked winning ETH. It kept me way more engaged just winning ETH every week because at least I felt like I was accomplishing something. And there are weeks where I'm like, all right, I put the amount of time I put into my lineups in NBA is just ridiculous and probably way more than I should. And then there are days where I'm just dead, like a day in, and I'm like, I can't believe I spent all that time doing that. So it's less engaging in that way, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I wanted to touch back because Jeb brought up this this thing of like ETH payout at a certain score threshold seems a bit unsustainable. And
yeah, I wanted to talk about that too. I'm glad you saw that.
So
for people that don't know football,
this is exactly like the reason I think they changed it for football is because, and actually there was another comment below that sort of who's it? TJ Doc 85 said it's sustainable if only a small portion is withdrawn. I expect the majority of the ETH rewards in football find their way back into the ecosystem. So Keith is saying, no, I think that's right. Like, I don't think most people
that was
withdraw.
the problem. I think that was the problem though, is that, you know, beyond that, you know, I don't really want to get into the multi-accounting thing, but you know, that we have been told might have been a problem of people setting up quote unquote like little farms or sending cards to people to do that. But I think that the biggest problem, like we're all in a Discord that somebody's shared some Reddit stuff, and that seems like a dark place for Sorare, his Reddit channels. But like you actually saw with people complaining about when ETH went, when I read some of that stuff, I'm like, this is why they did it, because people were like, what, now I'm going to have to buy more cards? I'm just here to make money. And that was like, I think that was the crux of the problem with football, and where we don't want to see it happen in basketball, which is essentially these people would just, I don't even want to call it cheat the game, because football just became like, if you could get 5 starters, like if you could get 5 guys that you know would start every single week, you were guaranteed, for lack of a better term, for like 90% of the weeks, you were guaranteed that lower threshold, which was $25. And more often than not, if you had 5 guys that just weren't complete nothing guys that at least had a role, it was tough to not hit 250.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
you know, more often than not. And so I think that was the problem, and that's where it became unsustainable, because you just had people that would just set up accounts just solely to make money with the ETH thresholds and not progress and not change out their cards unless like an injury happened. And then the other problem on the football side, not a problem. Sorare, don't listen. This is not a problem. But they don't rake sales. 0% market fee there. So if I'm just buying from Laird or buying from Hoop, Sorare makes nothing unless I go to the market, unless I go to the auction block.
Right. So I think the big difference, though, is because and why they went to capped, and why NBA is set up this way is that, like, because you can't realistically buy 5 NBA cards and play just those 5 cards for the rest of your life and just farm ETH. Like, it does seem like it's actually more sustainable in NBA, and it will be in football now that that's like a capped situation as well. But like, theoretically, yes, it's like it's unsustainable if you get like so many users that you're paying out all of this ETH, whatever it is. I do think that the benefit of not having it in NBA and like instituting it is that you could start really small. Like, I think people would do it for like the limited threshold now. So to go back a little bit to the football side, they used to only do thresholds in rare, and they just instituted a new cap mode for thresholds where it's limited, rare, super rare, and unique, all for different amounts. Limited's $5, rare is $50, super rare is $100, and unique is, I don't even know because I don't play over there. Is it $250? Could be 10,000 for all I know. It's not 10,000. So anyway, but like I think just the way that the cap system works in NBA and will work in football is that you can't, because you need to move cards in and out. Like, it becomes more sustainable. And I remember when they announced the secondary market transaction fees, everyone was like, "Oh, now they're going to pay ETH because they're going to just take that money and give it back to everybody who's winning." And it was clear that like that was not that was not the plan. Mike Baston brought up earlier that this seems to be more of a contractual legal decision by Sorare than it is a gameplay decision.
Right.
But like, we don't know that. We assume it, but like, we don't actually know. And it's kind of, I think we assume it because that's what we assumed from MLB, which also doesn't have ETH rewards. But I think, again, I'm going to like just go back that I think that they need to develop some sort of like beat the game, because of exactly what Alex said, that you can spend all this time and all this money. And that doesn't mean like you should automatically win just because you spent time and money on something, but it can get frustrating. And there's a point where you don't win enough, where you're just like, okay, I'm out. And I feel like that's something that should be avoided too.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are starting to feel that way, especially with the amount of work that goes into this game.
Right.
Basketball,
you need more.
Yeah.
But I think, go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say, one of the things you could do with ETH is pay out a certain amount of, like, set aside a certain amount of ETH each week to pay out, the top XYZ scorers. They have to be above 250, whatever, and under the T5 threshold. But also, what does that look like? Because a T5 rare can go for like 0.009
nothingness.
Yeah, so you're almost like,
I was going to say,
please.
I was going to say, I was chatting with Laird this, and I had made such a good point that he never responded to me until the next day. Told me it was teasing Laird. But like, Laird and I both are like right now, like knee deep in like football planning for upcoming like America and Asia coming back. And I think one of like the interesting thing on the football side is there is like a ton of planning, because there is a lot of non-capped on top of capped modes and things like that. So you're like, okay, I need depth here, and I want to play these divisions, and these guys can correlate well. Whereas NBA is just so straight. This is the guy's L10. This is what I'm going to plug in. I'm going to have Luka, or I'm going to have LeBron, and I'm going to have this one other guy, and then I'm just puzzle piecing the next 3. And then by next week, those 3 might not matter, and I'm on to another 3. I think we're just at the point where we need like an injection of something else in NBA. Like, to me, like I'm not getting pumped about like the U23 that like that is there for 1 week and is gone the next. Or it's Western Conference this week and then it's gone. And then it's East and then it's this. And they just keep going away. Like, I need you just to give me more right now, to keep a hold of more of my cards, to give more that I have in utility. I don't have a big gallery in NBA anymore because I just can't use anything. And I'd really like, it pains me to sit on the cards. Like, I know I can get XP and train them. Half the time I'm forgetting to do my training because I sell a guy that was in training and then that lineup gets canceled and you can't really see him. I don't know. I just need more. That's what I need, Laird. I either need win ETH, I need win more competitions, or I need win more competitions that keep going. Like, okay, I'm going to play in for U23. Give me U23 for a month. Like, don't let me buy these guys, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter that they're U23 anymore. All right, I'm off my soapbox. I just pulled a Sean without F-bombs.
No. This show is a soapbox, so don't stay on there for a second. The comment that I wanted to bring up before from Ransom Reed that said, beat the game would be cool because I feel like I outperform the 110 a lot, but that doesn't guarantee me anything. And yes, like it does feel like you did what you wanted to do, but because other people did it slightly better, you get nothing. And again, I'm not here to be like, what's that? As you take a giant
a lot better, like 110, you beat the game and you don't even like sniff like a sweat.
Exactly.
I had
or if you
didn't even get anything.
Right. Or if you happen to like get into a reward, you get one that's worth like 85 cents. And so
yeah, and if like I have Dame who went for 71 and Terry Eason who went for a 44 on a 19 this week, and I could just waste those. That's the thing that really bugs me. Like you have to like hit slots. You have to hit like 4 or 5, or else you're just like not. I can't even get Theo Pinson rare to never play or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. So Jeb asked if they've had ETH rewards in football the entire time. They did not. I will say that I joined in November of 2020, and they did have them. So it's like, I almost don't even feel like it's worth talking about this. Oh my God. I was literally about to say, it's not worth talking about before I joined, but like the game is so different now that like comparing what they did then, and Mike Basson in chat was like, should we not ask those who played football when it was just Jupiler League? For those of you unaware, that's the Belgian league. That is the first league that they had on Sorare for football. But like having the Jupiler League as your only league and as a completely new startup is way different than having the NBA and you're already like a 4 or 5 year established company. So like I don't think it's like totally worth comparing those, because I think it's just apples to oranges. But I think the key here, Keith, of what you said, and it's something that like we've said a ton, we just need more competitions. And if they take like some rewards from limited contender, limited champion, and put them in to whatever, if we had U23, Eastern and Western Conference every game week, then
every game week, that's
it. I understand why they did it, how they did it, but it's super frustrating from a gallery standpoint to 1 week being able to submit 4 lineups and another where you can only submit 2, and not knowing so far ahead that they're going to have it. Like it just, they always explain that they did this because we're testing things out. We want to see what the response is like. And it's like, I get that. And I get, you don't want to like introduce these like theoretically permanent competitions without like finding out if people really want to compete in them. But this whole like herky jerky way of doing it hurts us as well. And like, it doesn't make me want to go out and like buy another LeBron. But like, if I knew that there was Western Conference all the time, I would consider buying another LeBron.
So you know what, like really, like I was thinking this last night, it kind of fired me up too, was, all right, I had, when I like started out, I bought, and I'm like, okay, like this is a power game. I bought a Luka, a Giannis, and a Jokic limited, like right out the gate. Those are my first 3 buys on the platform. I'm like, I just want to have those dudes who, you know, beginning of the season projections, they were just so much higher than anybody else. Like, I just want these. We're at the point right now that if they're all doing their things, you legitimately can play one. Because you can't fit Luka and Jokic or Luka and Giannis or Giannis and Jokic. If they're all over 50, you can't play them. And then if you go play them in Contender, you're digging so much. You're popping into Alex's Discord and go, Alex, you got a 6? Like, give me a 6, man. Like, right? You're working.
Please don't do that.
Because no, I know, but we know people do. We've joked about that.
I just
but
want
you
them
can't
to
play
stop.
it. So then, like, but like right now, I haven't played my Giannis. I sold the Jokic, but I haven't played my Giannis in a month.
Yeah,
and I don't have anywhere. Like, I could play him in an Eastern Conference champion, but I play him there the 1 week. I buy the guys to go with it, and then it's gone the next.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, guess I'm back to training with my Giannis. Like, because it's just, I don't know. We just need the sustainable thing. Like, to me, I don't get why no cap went away. Like, that's like the single easiest game mode to just leave on there forever. Put no cap on there, and then no matter what my leftovers are, I can make a lineup.
I don't even care
if it's not.
Give me an opportunity to win down. Like, I don't, and put like 10 rewards in there. Like, I don't care if I can use my Shea and maybe he goes off and the rest of my scrubs do something and I win a tier 3 limited. I don't care. At least I can use him. And it's not like some things are flying off the shelves. It's not like throwing. I don't even take out all the T1s. I don't care. Let me just use them in something other than training. That's utility is the name of the game in the platform all the way across. That's the reason that Sorare differentiates itself from every other NFT, and it's what makes it the best fantasy experience around. Like, just let me use it. Something other than training.
Yeah, like, I was like scrolling over here that I have like a Jalen Brunson rare, Damian Lillard, James Harden, and DeJounte Murray limiteds like in training, and
it sucks.
It's infuriating to do
really
that.
It is.
And yeah, like who was it? It was probably Mike Baston, because he always has something smart to say. There it is. There's not much to lose for Sorare to put all leagues on every game week for like a 6 to 8 week stretch. Like, that's the other thing, is they're like, hey, we're going to try out U23. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to try out Western. Like, put them all in and see what happens. And what's going to happen is
distribution goes.
Right. And what's going to happen is everyone's going to be really excited that they can play all their cards in something that matters. And so, like, everybody complains about training, and I feel like Sorare hears the complaints about training, and they're just like, oh, we have to make the training process better. And it's like, no.
It's like, no, just get rid of it.
Yeah. And, or the whole like, oh, just if they do like the football thing, like pick 3 lineups and you'll get double XP. And it's like, I don't want double XP on my unused LeBron card. I want to use my LeBron card. Like,
that's great for off season. I can pick which 3 I want if you want to like pull something like that. But like, you know what I want to do with, like you just said, like, you're blonde. You know what I want to do with my Giannis and my Bam Adebayo? That Laird didn't take my idea for the show, but I had some good old cards that I'm sitting on, some big L's on. Man, I bought that Bam Adebayo like the first week. I don't think I've used it since week 1. I want to use my damn Bam. Like,
you know,
but I never get to use them.
You know what would be more fun than like just here's double XP if you run it in training? Make me compete for it.
Triple
Yeah, make me compete for triple XP. Like, that's more fun than like plop it in a training, forget that I have this guy, open it up and be like, damn it. That's what I do. I look at training, I'm like, oh, I didn't play this guy. He scored 64. At least I could use the 60 and be like, yeah, I did it and I got triple XP. That's more fun than training.
Laird, you might know this answer. I actually don't know this answer, and I've been just too lazy because I hate training so much to look it up. I still sit there when I'm like doing the training. By the way, my training happens at like 6:47. I go, oh crap, I need to put in training. And then I start just clicking at the top, and I'm like, wait. When I get to like my crappy players that don't play, I'm like, am I supposed to put a con in with them? Is this like football where the more points you score, the more XP? And so then I get confused. I'm like, all right, let me throw these commons. And I'm like, oh, crap, they're in a common competition because the stupid filter is on. And I jack up so many lineups.
To answer your question,
I don't know the answer.
I believe the answer is yes, that lineups that score more points get more XP. And so if you have like really good commons and you want to get more XP on your unused rares and limiteds, you should put your really good commons with them.
Okay.
But nobody does that because it doesn't not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter. And so I will give Sorare credit that I just assume that the entire platform, I don't know how many people are playing, but every single one from 6:46 Eastern to 6:49 and 59 seconds is where we're all just going and getting all of our training lineups in.
Because the funniest thing with NBA though too is because like in football we set our lineups like the night before. Like there's no mad dash unless something crazy happens at the last minute in football. Like your lineup is set. Like you know a day or two ahead of time realistically where you're at unless you make a move or two. In NBA, like we're getting a news at 6:43 that like, and look, Laird, like me and you are actually a good example this week. We didn't go onto it, but we both have Xavier Tillman in our lineup, and it became close, like more obvious, closer to lock that Steven Adams was going to miss. So Tillman would have been a great play if one of us would have used our brain. But that would have changed my lineups completely, and then I would have had to reflex through training and all that stuff. So, you know, it's very unlike football in the fact that we can't really even set our training because we might switch it up. And then the UI interface, I don't even want to bitch about that today. I'm already fired up enough about other stuff. But the UI interface is so terrible with the filters. Do I have on current lineup? And then I can't even see. It says, like, after I click the guy, it's like, oh, you have him in champion. So I'm like, I do? I forgot about that. Let me not undo that.
I will say the one UI change I would like in NBA training is a scarcity filter, because all of when I like finally click through all of my limiteds and rares, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot all the guys who were hurt, and I have to like scroll through all of the commons that I have to get to the bottom. Like
or no game,
right?
No game, they go to the bottom.
Like I don't care about training my commons, but I don't want to have to like deal with scrolling through all. So please, Sorare, just a scarcity filter. There were some comments that I want to get to. Brandon Rising said the rotating competitions leads to an increase in trading volume, which is true for those players. But if we had them all the time, the trading volume would be there anyway. Like you still need cards for the other competitions. There's not this like rush of like only Western Conference players this week. There's a rush for everyone.
Pause for you guys. Have either one of you all, for the all defense, all offense, Western, Eastern, have you bought a card just because of it?
No.
I have not. I have not even debated it. Alex is sheepishly and shameless.
I will say the only one I thought about it was the all defense. That's the only one.
That's where I did it.
But just like one card.
One card.
Yeah.
How many cards, Alex?
And I didn't buy it.
One.
And so was it because you had 4 cards already and you're like, if I get one more, I can play a lineup?
Yes.
Yes.
I bought Rudy Gobert, so that's why I was shaking my head sheepishly, because he sucked. He was horrible.
That's a common theme with any Timberwolf right now. They suck.
That's true. Yeah, but now that I say that, I bought Jaren Jackson. I finally pulled the trigger to buy him because I was like, oh, this is coming up, so I'm just going to finally buy him. Like his price was high, and I was like, I don't really want to pay that. And then they were like, all defense. I was like, I'm going to pay it. So,
okay. But
I did just buy. I bought 3 players for Rare Underdog.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, that's fine. I didn't even know they were running a Rare Underdog. That's like news to me, considering I love underdogs.
Upcoming week. So I bought I bought Trendon Watford, not PJ Tucker, Taj Gibson, same guy, and someone else. But I was like,
you say the same guy because they both wear the T-shirt.
Bald T-shirt, yeah, centers.
Been around for 100 years, yeah. Undersized center.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough.
But the reason I did that was because I was like, I need more guys that are cheap. I need more opportunities.
Sorry to blow his comment. I had a dream Austin Rivers scored 50. Only place.
Why are you dreaming of such a thing? Are you listening to his pod? I actually heard his pod was like really good, by the way. I wonder if he talks about standing in the corner.
So one of the things that we discussed on that, a comment from Ghost here, more contests means more game theory on where to use cards, which is more variance and fun. Like that's a huge thing that they completely miss from the football side. That you have a really good card. Do I play it in All-Star? Do I play it in Champion Europe? Do I play it in Under? Like there are 4, 5, potentially 5 places you can play a card like now.
Right.
And right now you have like, oh, you're limited Giannis. Where can you play it? And it's like limited champion. Or limited contender with 4 guys who have a 0. Or, 3 guys with a 0.
For those not in football, like the great example, like everybody knows who Mbappe is, but in football, we have U23. Like, so if you have a rare Mbappe, you can go U23 rare. You can go to U23 rare pro. You can play him in Champion Europe, where he's a great card. Champion Europe rare pro. And then, we disagree with it, but we've seen people play him in like specialist tournaments that were running every week for the longest time. Like it was the same thing every single week. So there was 5 places, like Laird said, and I'm not even doing the All-Stars.
10. It's
7
10 because
places.
I forgot about Rare Pro.
Right. So there's a ton. And so then all of a sudden, if you go on like SorareData and look at the distribution of where those cards are at, you see mostly people using him for U23 and then to champion. But like all of a sudden, if you wanted to, like your All-Star team was really good because you had some Asia guys that were very good that week, and you're like, I'm going to use Mbappe here. That could be like a differentiator. So like to your point, Luka, one of my 5 spots on Limited Champions already decided for me every single week just because I own Luka Doncic.
So the more contest thing for me always goes back to like, because I don't have Luka. I'm like, give people other places to play Luka so that I don't have to compete against so many Luka Doncic cards. But like you mentioned, like if you want to play him somewhere else, if you want to use Luka Doncic as like the ultimate differential, you play him in Contender. The problem is that you're playing him with 4 guys who are awful, maybe 3 guys who
killed
are
your
awful.
lineup. You killed your Contender chances.
Right, you're literally just taking your Luka Doncic JPEG and effectively lighting it on fire. And so like you don't want to do that. I'd rather put my Luka somewhere, not mine. I'd rather put my Giannis somewhere where like, oh, maybe not as many people are playing him here. And like, I get why they do it. The Eastern Western Conference, like I get it, but just feels so boring, like lazy. Like, oh, how do we get more? How about East and West? Yeah, that's good. But I don't know. I don't have any solutions to that. I'm complaining with 0 solutions, just to be clear. But at least give me the idea of like, I'm going to play Giannis in the Eastern Conference this game week because I think more people are playing him in Champion. And if we have Eastern and Western and U23 every game week, then we can at least see, like somebody chat said and Alex said it before, like you can see where people are choosing to play them. And then gives you an indication if you're actually getting a differential or not. And that strategy, which is like so important on the football side, just doesn't exist for NBA, and it's such a great part of the game.
Can you share TJ's comment at 311? I actually want to like address that like towards NBA.
That it's gone bananas?
Football has gone bananas, yeah. So I've heard this a lot too. And then like, we're here pumping more we're here pumping more football or basketball contests. Here's the thing, TJ. You don't have to play 45. If you own 2 goalkeepers, you can play 2 contests, and you can then strategically look at all 45 contests and go, here's where I can compete the best. And that's kind of where I'm going with the basketball product is, all right, here's my gallery that I have accumulated. Here's the cards that I have available to me. Let me decide. You give me more contests that I can choose, and I can decide where I think I can compete the best. Like, that's what I want. And then guess what? All you people out there that are going to buy 500 cards, there's Sorare's other part that, if you put all these out there, there's going to be some people that decide they want to play everything and compete everywhere, and then they're going to make more and more market liquidity and more purchases. So that's just my thought on it.
Yeah, I think it's showing that we, or at least I'll put myself in this, like, I did it wrong because I have too many cards now. Like, we've talked about whether you should have like a big gallery because like, oh, L10s move and you never know. But if there are only 2 places to play my rare cards and on average 2.5 to 3 places to play my limiteds, like, I don't need this many cards. And the bad cards are now selling for like 85 cents. Like, why should I buy more cards? Because I'm now buying cards or winning cards to just put them into more training lineups, which is literally the part of the game that we hate the most. Like, you're just like emphasizing the bad part of your game, and like, the game is fun. Like, when you play the game, it's fun.
It's
but
so
like
fun.
so you get really excited to build your lineups, and you have like players looking at projections, building everything. Oh, I'm 1 point over the cap as always. And then you find somebody else and you're like, oh, I finally built the lineup. You submit it. And then you bang through the training lineups and you're like already starting the whole, like, man, this isn't that fun. Click, 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 click. And then 12 minutes after the deadline locks, Giannis is ruled out. And you're like, oh, half of my lineups are dead. Like, one player, half of them are dead. And now you're just hoping that the L10, the 8 L10 guy that you bought because you went into the Sorare First Pitch Discord at 24 minutes ago and said, who's the best L10 of 6 or below? And you just spent $20 on him and he scores 6 because that's what L6 players do. L10 6 players do. And like, that's not fun. Like, where's the fun here? And yet, like, more competitions allow you to, like, if a lineup is dead, well, at least I have these 5 others. But like, when literally like half of them could be dead immediately. Sorry, I got up on Keith's soapbox and I pushed him off.
Welcome to the soapbox, Alex. There's room. You want to soapbox something? It's like,
I don't know. Did you see the tweet the other day of somebody who finished like 3rd in training and was like, I can't believe I don't win anything for this?
I sent it to you guys.
Yeah,
I sent it to you guys. I laughed. I laughed and then I cried for him. I
felt so bad too. Yeah, like, now obviously like training lineups are uncapped, but like, we could have an uncapped competition. We've seen them before.
Why not?
But yeah, like, no, you don't win anything. And you know how you set like 3 lineups this week and then had 46 training lineups? Yeah, the 46 you set, they don't get any.
They don't matter. I don't even know why there's a leaderboard, to be honest with you, other than a tease.
It is kind of silly that you're right. Why do they have a what do you get for that?
Well, they got rid of it in football. I remember they used to have it. And when I was like, my first week on the platform was so confusing. It was so confusing because like I was like rooting for my team in training, and like Storm had been on the platform for like 2 weeks before me. A good friend of mine, Storm, and he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? I'm doing great. He's like, you didn't enter into a competition that matters. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, that's actually one of the things that they talk about a lot too. That's kind of hard, and I mean that's part of the reason they don't want to add a ton of game modes because it's a little confusing if you add a ton.
Yeah, I think like champion, contender, East West, U23, and no cap. 6 competitions every game week, every scarcity. I don't really care about super rare and unique because I don't play there. So I don't even know if there are enough cards for that. But like, that seems reasonable to me and allows me to play the cards that I have bought thinking I needed all these cards.
Yeah.
Alex, you think of any others you'd want?
I I like veterans, but I would prefer if it were not 30 plus.
You want it higher?
But like years in the league or something?
That's not a bad idea either.
That's a really fun idea, but I don't think, like, I'm guessing they don't have
That's
to
like
do
a
that.
hell for sorting. That's hell for sorting.
I wonder, well, I mean, we have that at SorareFP. It's in the spreadsheets.
Age or full, you have years in the league?
We have age because that's what they want. I added
Right.
it, but I don't know how much it would thin the player pool to bump it up to 32 or something like that. I don't know. There were a couple guys in there who were 30 and it just made me feel old. So just keep it in line with my age. How about that?
You're like, I'm not okay with these guys that I watched in college being like 13-year NBA vets that are
Ricky
35,
Rubio
right?
is the cutoff. Ricky Rubio is the cutoff for that competition because he's a week younger than me.
Okay, so as long as Ricky Rubio stays in the young kids division, Alex is good.
I forgot.
So I have a question for you guys.
I like that idea as well. I would throw that in as well.
So I want to circle back to win ETH. Okay, so I guess Laird, I want to ask you this, and then because I think I know Hoop's answer, because Hoop also bought Rudy Gobert for all defense, so we kind of know Hoop's full degenerate here. So if all of a sudden they did have beat the game mode, Laird, let's say they didn't add anything else, they didn't add all these competitions we're talking about, but they just added to beat the game mode, would you feel better about having all these excess cards?
Sure. I mean,
because you have some reason to keep them, right?
I don't feel satisfied completely, but it's better because it's just another place to play. Like it, I think the crux of it is more competitions. Like more competitions are needed. And if one of them happens to be beat the game, then great. But I think they need both. Yeah. Like I think they really do need both.
Alex, you the same?
Yeah. I mean, what Andrew said, just like anywhere to put my cards. I'm not holding on to all the limiteds I bought because of any usage issue. I'm just trying to run up the XP, and then when I do play them, that'll be worthwhile, at least technically. But yeah, I don't need it. Let me loan without fear of getting ban hammered. How about that?
I think
it's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that'll be something for another time, I think. What was I just about to say? I lost it. I was reading this comment from Brandon Rising that said, I think more competitions means more output of rewards, but doesn't change the number of cards that are in the wild. I think the number of competitions is based on card population size.
Nope.
Huh?
No, they are so far away from even getting close.
Well,
right. You had the distribution, Laird, not that long ago.
So Brandon is right that the theoretically the number of competitions is based on the population size, and the rewards are based on the total cards that they can mint. But yes, they are not remotely close to like
they
having
have
to
more
worry
cards.
about running out of supply at this point.
And guess what? If that's the case, cut off the last. I don't even know how many. I don't even know how many cards are being. I always laugh that Champion has 4 times less cards than Contender, but Champion's where you actually spend money for them. So try to make that one make sense. Like the thing that Sorare makes more money off of, they reward less. That one has not computed in my head. But if you shaved off 300 rewards off of Contender and moved them into 3 other competitions, ain't nobody is complaining. Nobody.
It probably actually behooves them to hold on to those that they're cutting off at the bottom too, because tier 5s are probably the most likely to
worthless
move up, and actually be worth something at some point.
Right.
I remember what I was going to say now. It was from Alex saying that he's not selling his limited cards. So the game is set up that we were saying before, we want to have a lot of cards because if you have a guy or you have a lineup and you're like, oh man, I need a guy with an L10 of like 18. It's beneficial to you if you have a lot of cards because like surely one of the guys you have fits,
Will be
but
good.
it doesn't actually like make us use all of the ones that we have effectively. So like, it's this weird, like we want to have a lot of cards, but we want to have a lot of cards just so we could use a tiny fraction of them every week in order to make sure that we don't have to buy a card to make a lineup fit.
And here's the funniest thing about like with like what Hoop said there too, in my opinion. So you have Hoop that's like, I'm going to grow their XP and I'm going to wait till I use them. And maybe, I'm going to be able to use, I don't know why John Collins came in my head, Hoop. Probably because I was one of your bags. I came into this episode thinking about all my bags.
First card I bought.
But there you go. So like, and you probably haven't used it in a while.
Not since the opening week.
Right, so maybe that's a great example. So Hoop's sitting here, he's like, okay, so when I got John Collins, and when he does fit, he's going to be like maxed out XP. And my thought becomes, all right, when I need to use John Collins, like I'm going to sell all my stuff and then just use what I need. And when I need John Collins, I'll go pay an extra $5 more than the market or whatever to get a John Collins. And then I didn't sit on it during all that time. And actually, I got rid of my own market risk, right? Because the longer you hold something, the more market risk that you hold of wherever the prices are going, all the ETH versus dollar fluctuations. And I diversified out of that. And I just said, okay, when I have to pay a premium, I wanted to play Peyton Pritchard this week. I'm like, instead of holding Peyton Pritchard like some people did, and he was like $5, I paid $10. It was like, whatever. And then he'll go down and back to being a $5 card. So I took $5 to enter the competition. So be it. That's how I figured it, at least.
Alex beats you because of his XP, though.
Alex has an 8.5% Peyton Pritchard. I have a 7.5%. Don't look at the rest of my lineup. That actually is what screwed me. I lost because Alex's XP was better.
Hey, when I got a bunch of 15 XP limiteds or whatever the cap is, I don't even know. Oh,
maybe that's the new competition. Maxed out XP.
Only,
yeah.
Alex is the only guy that can enter.
I want that.
Brandon followed up. He said, I don't think it's running out of supply. It's about running out of competitive teams so that you don't have throwaway teams winning rewards. Like that, I think, like not everybody, you're right. You shouldn't win with a shitty lineup. Like they're not going to give away enough rewards where throwaway lineups are winning. Like, don't worry about that.
But Brandon, too, the beauty of having more things is like, I think I've said it on this stream before, like weeks ago, but like my biggest win ever on the football platform was me noticing an inefficiency with how people were playing. It was like Underdog was brand new to football, or it had been around for a few weeks. And I think it might have been something that Laird actually told me. And he was just like, I'm like, when are you making your Underdog lineup? He goes, oh, I just put whatever I have left in there. Whatever's left over, I just leave there. I'm like, what if I start an Underdog and I get all my best players that qualify for it? And I was looking through leaderboards and noticed that nobody was prioritizing it. Everybody was kind of doing what Laird was, even including myself previously. So all of a sudden, now I prioritized it. And I had like a 3-week span that I won at once and was second on another time. And it wasn't with like crazy good cards. And then I think people kind of figured it out. But so I go back to Brandon is you think that that's just people throwing away cards, but actually there's going to be plenty of people that go, I think everybody's just going to throw away their cards there. I'm like, this is totally like an Alex thing. Alex would totally look at that and go, nobody's going to care about this. I'm going to spend extra time on that. I'm going to devote my time and my resources to that competition. That, I mean, you just mentioned that you liked the Underdog this week in NBA. You devoted time to that. Most people aren't devoting time to it. They're just tossing whatever at the end of their gallery after they make their champion, their contender lineup. So I think you give more strategy to the game. The more game modes you have, you let people choose to be different or choose to prioritize different. Go, I've never scratched the top 100 in champion. So, or my gallery's not going to allow me to scratch the top 100 in champion. Let me go prioritize this new division and see what goes on there.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't have a beat the game, everything is I have to beat everyone else. And like
everybody else.
It's easier to beat fewer people. Like the whole like underdog, not as many. So and obviously the number of rewards kind of throws it's not completely equal, but like if you want to compete against the fewest number of people, like you can do that if there are multiple game mode or multiple like tournaments to play, like underdog. Like most people are not going to spend, like you said, the amount of time necessary to make like a good underdog lineup. They're just going to throw in what they have. So that gives Alex the opportunity to be like, all right, I want to compete against fewer people. I know that there are probably more dead lineups in underdog. Let me go there. And like that is game theory and strategies that we want to have that we don't. So underdog's another one that I feel like we should add to this list that should be around forever. I think that Alex completely disagrees, and he has every appropriate reason to disagree with me, but the cap is too low, man. Underdog 60 is absurd. But
it was bad. I tried just in my attempt to build for it, and like I was like, these guys aren't even gonna play.
Right.
You have to really hit your lottery guy. Like,
hold on. I wonder if underdog, could you put a Luca and take your 80 if he hits like an 80, find like a -3 guy and like
you
need
a Londis Williams
guy out of 5. No. I wonder if you had just played Luca. If you just played a Luca there, if you might actually get into the rewards.
I haven't looked into it.
No,
that's why I'll buy a
that's
Luca.
the beauty of
not to win champion, but to win underdog.
I do think.
Dude, I will tell you what. I love my underdog football win. I mean, not just because of the card, but like that just felt like awesome. Like, you know, me and you joked, but it was like all these second tier MLS guys that ended up winning AC Milan's starting goalkeeper.
Yeah,
you know, that was a pretty cool thing. Oh, he's not there anymore?
He's hurt.
Oh, but he's still there. He'll be the starter.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's fine.
So
but I don't know. Like to me, like that's like the cool thing on all these other lineups is, and you're giving more and more people the chance to win. Like to win a competition. Right now, champion. If there's champion contender.
Right. You don't, like I said, you don't want to do 2 lineups and have one of them possibly be dead. It's better to have one of 6 lineups that are dead instead of one of 2.
Right.
And if the response is like, well, go play rare, like that's not okay either. Like just spend more so you can enter more. I don't like that either. I'm going to keep count here still. Champion, contender, East, West, U23, 032, underdog. Did I miss one? I feel like I was at 6, but we added 2. Anyway.
No cap.
And no cap. Right. So 8. Actually, Jeb Bush a little bit ago said we need a contest that specifically requires Corey Joseph. If we had like a 2 first name competition, I think that would be good. And Bourgeois said, according to SorareData, no Corey Josephs have been sold during this stream. I would just like to point out that I just bought one. Just cause.
So do you remember?
Oh, an all offense, all defense. Look at that, 10.
Yeah, there you go.
They should pay us.
But Laird, do you remember in
defense was good?
Do you remember in football they got really fun for like during the special weeklies? They would do like only like this continent, or like, you know, the first time that they did like the old guys, you know, like the Lucas Zelarayan qualified randomly, but like they would do some weird things. So like they have the ability to kind of spice it up. What I want them to do is just be consistent. I just want to know.
So it's really funny that you said those 2 things back to back, because I actually I think it's because they started doing it with like competitions I think they should have all the time. But I actually hate these like random one-off special weeklies that do that, because it's like everybody's always like, oh, they're just doing this to pump like these certain cards, as if like Sorare has like a list of like, you know, we really need to pump some Corey Joseph cards. So like I get the idea, but like I think if we had more competitions, then yes, like special weeklies of really random stuff is like kind of fun. And
that's a fun one. That Biggie's
Polish investor,
I like that
position
one.
locked competitions, which is really funny.
I love that.
To go like our game is positionless basketball, and we're like, how about centers this week? And I think we'd all be like, cool, let's play that.
I've been waiting for that. I can't believe there's not, like, they haven't even tried that, but you have to, like, retroactively. I don't think they even thought of it, which is.
Well, they have it. They have the position on the player cards.
It's so weird that they have it on the card and not use it at all.
And they do the same for baseball, where they have their playing position in a baseball game listed, but all of the positions are like catcher, middle,
fielder. Yeah.
SorareData admission, Laird, on basketball, because it's so positionless. Every once in a while, I'll go to my basketball gallery just to like see if I should sell anybody, and it defaults to guard. And I'm like, where are all my good players? Yeah. Where? And then I'm like, oh my god, all. Yeah. But you, the SorareData defaults you to guard, and you immediately are like, oh god, did I lose my Giannis or did I lose my Jokic?
You're absolutely right on that. You're right. That bothers me.
I'm not asking you guys to change it, but it always makes me laugh.
To change it because you're right. That's
okay. But it always makes me laugh though, because I always have like a 2-second lag until I realize what happened.
Yes. Sorry, Alex, you were saying something?
Oh, I had actually talked with my brother about the position locked thing and what it would look like backcourt, front court, extra.
Sure.
Instead of just like two guards, 2 forward, and 1 center. But yeah, when I finally went back, I was finally allowed to play DFS again. I played DFS basketball. I've lost every entry that I've entered into. But it's such a different building experience. And I have to consider so many different options. And even that, like if you do that normally, like say tomorrow they're like, hey, guess what? Surprise. You have to play within these positional requirements. It would obviously piss a lot of people off, but like that changes the state of your gallery so much and the amount of cards that you would need and your options at each position. I'm surprised that they didn't do it.
I'm not sure people would be that pissed.
No, I think they'd be like, ooh, okay.
I don't think they should do it, to be honest. I actually really love like how it's set up, but if they had like other competitions that did it, I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Sure. That's the way to introduce it. Then all of a sudden you get the feedback that people actually love this, and then you go, okay, maybe when we do make like a big game mode change, maybe we want to do this.
I like this comment from Mike only because I know how much these things really bother Alex when it comes to projections. But I say we need specials for juniors, or the Troy Murphy III special.
Yes,
that's what we need. I completely agree.
If you want that competition, and if they put that competition in, go to someone else. You're not going to get the full projection from me, just because I do not have the time to come up with the formulas to pull all of that out. Go somewhere else.
Can we have a contest called My Name's Jeff, where you can only build lineups with players' names Jeff? Yeah. Sons of Legends only. I love that idea.
Nepotism.
Oh, I do too. I was thinking Tim Hardaway Jr. was like the first one that came into my head for some reason. Like, all right, I can finally use the Tim Hardaway Jr. card.
Yeah,
I'm sure
players that LeBron has played against their dads. Yeah, I'm in. I am in. Like,
these are great ideas.
Hold on, players that Shannon Sharp has insulted? No, not quite yet.
Players.
That's just limited champion.
I was going to say players that Skip Bayless. Yeah, players that Skip Bayless is insulted, and it's just no cap.
So all we do today is prove that we need more.
Right, like.
We just did a think tank for them.
But like I think we want more rather than the ETH.
Right. I think that's exactly what we did prove today, is that it's not the ETH. It's just more utility. It's more games. It's more sweats. Like, let's just be real. The best part about this, and the reason like Alex even went back to DFS, is not even like just the pure win. It's like the fun of the sweat. Like, that's my enjoyment with it.
I'm not sweating anything.
Then he found, then he realized that nobody actually sweats.
Keith knows I don't like sweats. I don't enjoy the sweats. I like the roster building, and then if I could throw my phone 50 miles from me and have to drive to get it after the contest, it would be more interested.
Oh.
I hate sweats because I have anxiety, man. I can't deal with that.
I love it.
Jeb said players on teams below 500 and above 500. Like
another good one.
There's so many good ideas, and I think they could even just go like pick 5 and throw it on a Twitter poll, and just whatever wins is what comes up next. Like just for a special weekly, not add in the
special monthly,
8 permanent ones, and then some special weeklies.
I like nepotism weekly. That's great.
But it's so rare because we know Nicola is out here watching this. But just more. That's all. No, not more training. Just more comps with consistency. To me, again, I know I already said this a couple times. I just don't understand how you run a U23. U23 is like one of the most popular things in football. Like people go crazy for U23 in football. Like how does that go away in the NBA? Like that's just like beyond me. It's like the stabled competition, like one of their OG competitions on football, and they like tease it for a minute in basketball, and then it goes away.
And there are people who like exclusively play U23.
Right. Harry.
Yet,
Harry, who do you do content with every single week?
Yes.
There's multiple guys, and there's people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just for one competition in football.
Right. The last one I'm going to point out is this from Jeb? Of course it is. The Ultra Underdog Premium. Only players with a 0 or below cap. First to 10 points wins.
The secret is find multiple -3 guys and get a real player.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just started playing with my underdog lineup, and I like 2 of the guys that I bought. I'm like, I'm not going to play them. I'm just going to play my Jaden Springer, take a 0, and play.
Yep.
I mean,
that's strategy. That's strategy, though.
I don't think this is like a reasonable strategy every game week, but we have seen like the 0 work in Contender.
Yeah, so it's definitely like an underdog. You cut that in half if it's working.
Right.
If it's working above that, you cut that in half.
But Alex, think about this on the underdog. Like there was a couple weeks straight where like Fred VanVleet put up like a 70 out of 30, and Drew Holiday put up like a 70 out of 30. So if you just did 3 zeros and then 2 30 guys that you think could explode, then that could be a win.
Yeah,
but that's fun. Like that's why we need more.
Exactly.
So we need more because you can play fun with this.
Yeah, I will say that the best strategy that we've ever talked about on this show, I think, fully applies there. That if you can get the guy who's going to have the 99% outcome, you should play them. And so I think that works in underdog as well, for sure.
Yes.
Fair statement.
Thank you to everybody who has joined us live. This was extremely fun. I think we just need to get the pitchforks outside of the Sorare offices, demanding more competitions for our cards, fewer training lineups. Let's go. So yeah, thank you to everybody for joining us. If you guys could please hit the like button on the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. It's always really helpful. Slowly but surely getting more content out on this channel. So the more people we have to see it, the better. So yeah, thank you everybody, and good luck with all your lineups, all like 6 of them, because that's the most you can have.